I will start from my extreme left. So let's ask the question again. Superwoman, is it a myth or is it a reality? Can a woman really be super? You know, is it?
Hello. Okay. Good morning once again, church.
Morning.
Okay, so to me, I would say that by design, right, women have some extra capacity that God, imputed somewhere in us. In the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 18, where God said, it is not good for a man to be alone. So we need to make him a helpmeet. And then the Bible goes ahead to say that then God brought animals. And then at the end of the day, Adam named them. And he still said, this is not the helpmeet. So that means that God is actually looking for something special, which to me, I believe is that greatness that he has put in every woman to be able to be a help that is appropriate, sufficient for a man, right? And to me, I think that is a superhuman, if you ask me.
Thank you. So that was, you're almost going into telling us what your own view of a superwoman is. And sometimes that's where the debate is. One person thinks a superwoman is somebody that does everything, career, looking after the home, looking after her husband, a pillar of the church. And another woman has a totally different opinion and says, oh, a superwoman is just bringing up children in this world and delivering them into the world. So, Mrs. Ojora, what's your view? Who is a superwoman?
Well, morning, everyone.
Morning.
So a superwoman is a myth. I'm sorry, that's my view.
Yes, now.
And to me, it's a very dangerous myth because it puts a lot of pressure on women, and especially the younger women, that it's possible to be all things to all people at all times. That's my personal view, and I don't impose it on anyone else. But I think we are great. I love women. Well, I love everybody, but women are absolutely magnificent in their strength and in their approach. But these motivational speakers that tell you that you can be everything, it's a lie. You can't. You can be great at different times for different things. And what makes you super, what makes you great is knowing yourself. Know thyself. And if you know what your focus is. So you can say, like, when my kids were younger, I would say I worked on an oil rig. That's what I say, because when they're around, I focus on them. When they're away, I do all my work. And I managed to do everything at the same time, but it was at a great cost. So I've gotten to the age now where I will not pretend for anybody or for anything. I will say it as it is. So to me, it's a myth, but a superwoman is knowing what is right at the right time and trying her best to do it. But if you cannot do it, you put up your hand and say you cannot do it so someone else can step in and help.
Amen. Thank you. I'm going to hold on to something that you said there, and someone also said it in the video about timing. You can be a superwoman, but you superwoman in different areas at different times of your life and stages of your career. Auntie Shade? Yes.
Good morning, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Morning.
Well, I was thinking about this all week long.
Can you hear her?
Yeah. Good morning.
So,
All right. Happy Mother's Day.
happy Mother's.
And good morning. To me, it's our reality. Women are super. I don't even know how we do it. Because sometimes you wake up in the morning and what wakes you up is a cry from one of your children. And you're running up and down, You're attending to the child, getting ready for school. Your husband needs to eat. You think about what is going to happen for lunch, for dinner. Your mind is working overtime. And you keep like you're on auto drive, And And then you have a mother-in-law, sister-in-law, you have friends, you have to go to work, run your business, you are the driver, you are the cook, you are the nanny. Lesson teacher. That one is like you are the one going to school when they bring those assignments to the house. Seriously. When my kids were much younger, I'm like, I've been to my own school. Why do I have to come back and be doing all this, Pythagoras theorem, all those things? I don't even understand them anymore. So I think it's not a myth. It's the life that we are living as women. Come to think of it, I don't know how many men can multitask as we do.
We can't.
You can't. You can't even.
We agree.
So let's even not talk about it. So I think it's our reality. But at the same time, we must learn to do it in phases so that we don't burn out. We need to learn to say no when it is not possible. Because like she said, you can't be everything to everybody. Because at the end of the day, you will not even be nice to yourself. Recently, I was talking to a couple, and he was complaining about the weight of his wife. Oh, they have triplets, and she's put on a bit of weight, and she's not the lady I married. And I said, Uncle, do you know how it is to take care of 3 children? Yeah. One is bad enough. You now have triplets. You're now complaining she's put on weight. She doesn't have time to think of herself. She's the last person she's thinking of. You are thinking of the husband, the children, every other thing. So you can put on weight. But when you begin to think about it at the end of the day, how am I going to help myself to be who I am? So it's a stock-taking process. You begin to think about yourself at some point, that you cannot be all things to all men. You're not Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So she said something you say is important. Just the reality of being a woman and the expectations and the different roles already makes you a superwoman. Without listening to the motivational and some of those people, they need flogging. Sorry. But you are right. Just being a woman, when you were saying that, when you wake up in the morning, you hear the child crying, you are thinking of breakfast. At this time, your husband is maybe snoring. Not your own husband, but men generally.
It's not.
Don't add that to the... We shall not be found to say that our pastor snores.
Okay. Scratch that.
Scratch that. Sister Ivy, so there's sort of a balance. The role of a woman is already superwoman. But we've also heard that it's about timing. You can be a superwoman, but it goes, at different stages of your life. Your thoughts?
Well, I do agree that at different times Happy Mother's Day, everyone, and good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I do agree that at every point in time in your life, right, there are times when you will be weak. And when you're weak, that's when, God shows up for you. And then there are times when you are strong. That is because you have actually gone through a process of self-awareness where you know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you know exactly, what to focus on and what to reach out, lean on other people, other, methods to help you to actually be strong. So in my thoughts, I would say that I do agree that women are super, but I think it's a myth to think that we are, because of the pressure that, we have put on ourselves to always try to be perfect. I will give an example of, so for me, right, I feel that I was in a circus at some point in my life where I'm walking on that tightrope from one end of the room to the other, and then trying to balance everything. Guys, people are on the tightrope, right? You're trying to balance, and everything in your life does not have the same weight. It does not have the same weight.
Wisdom.
And so one day, I could not move forward. So that cape I was wearing, that Superwoman cape, right?
You dropped it.
I dropped it. I hung it on that rope, and I let myself fall down to that safety net. That safety net is the support. It's God, and it's the people God has put around you. And so for some reason, I actually enjoyed that fall. Because I realized that life, because sometimes when you try to be everything, you lose the enjoyment. You lose enjoying, life. You lose the essence of being alive, right? And so, so I think that there's a balance, but at the same time, we have to accept who we are, our strengths, our weaknesses, right? And then just have fun. Just have fun being, even failing once in a while. Have fun failing. Yes.
Thank you. Look, there was so much wisdom in what you said, and it sounded simple, but really everything in life cannot carry the same amount of weight. And Mrs. Jadjura, I think the point that you were making about these motivational speakers is trying to make a woman a superwoman by making her give the same level of priority to everything in her life. So you can be a CEO, at the same time being a mother of 3, at the same time loving your husband and being a homemaker, at the same time being a pastor and a spiritual leader in church, and focusing on all at the same time. But what you said is so important. Everything cannot be the same weight. Some will weigh more at certain points of your life than other things. Thank you for that. I hope the women pick that up. Me, I picked it up. When I go home now, I'm going to tell my wife, that thing you are carrying is too heavy. You are going to fall down. I shed some weight. But you said when you fell, it was... So should I allow my wife to fall?
You be the safety net. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So, Kola, I just want to tell you that when you make that statement, shed some weight, you have to be careful how you say it.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So, what is God's view? Because many times when we hear about the superwoman, sometimes as Christians, we come from God's perspective. And we bring scripture, we bring Proverbs 31, woman, and we bring all these types of things. What does God actually... you mentioned Adam and Eve, and there are all sorts of women in the Bible, Sarah, Deborah, and all sorts of things, and they play different parts. What does God expect of a woman?
Me?
Yes.
Okay, so of course, we all know Proverbs 31, and we've been, we love to read about her and how great she is. But when you do follow that scripture, you realize that, yes, she was great for her family, she was great for her staff, she was great for her business, but I think she was also great for herself. And she looked after herself and made sure, because if you don't look after yourself, then you can't look after anybody else. And I always call it like the relationship in a family is like a table. So you have, God has maybe 1 or 2 legs, one, the father, the mother, and if one leg is taken out, it's a problem, but the other 3 can hold it up for a while. So it's very important that we understand that God is paramount in the relationship and in any kind of life that we live. But I think that majority of us sometimes just hold on to, we must continue trying and trying and trying, and if things go wrong, it's your fault. Women are brought up here, especially to feel that we just, if something doesn't go right, just keep trying. You didn't do well. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And we also have to look at who is giving us that pressure. So let us focus on God's word and what he says we should do. And he doesn't say that we necessarily have to suffer. I think it's Isaiah 54, talks about how he's going to pave the road with rubies and sapphires. Not actual rubies and sapphires, but that's how much he loves us. So if he can value us like that, we have to value ourselves. And when we value ourselves, we will be able to look after everybody around us in the same way.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So to me, like I said earlier, I believe that God has a special role for women, right, on this earth. But then I'm also an advocate of a woman having the right support system. Okay, for me, for instance, I'm at work, right? I'm thinking of the kids. They have homework, so I'm trying to be a career woman trying to figure out, have they done their homework, have they eaten, are they back home from school, and a lot of things I want to do at the same time. So I believe that it's important for a woman to have the right support system. So I know I can't be at work and also be at home. So I know I should get someone to be at home to keep an eye on the children while I'm away at work, right? It's also important for husbands to be very supportive, right, and understanding.
Tell them. Look there and tell them. There are many.
So I tell you, a very supportive and understanding husband is a great blessing to a woman.
Yes.
It's a great blessing to a woman. So that's also an important point. Then good friends around you, because a lot of times women go through a lot of pressure. Something happened recently with one of my, colleagues, a young lady who had just gotten married, early 20s. She has a child, about 9 months. So while she's trying to win that one, she just got a job as well. So she discovered she was pregnant again. So, I just saw her looking all moody, struggling at work. Meanwhile, I'd known her before she got married. So I knew she didn't used to be like this. But all the weight of everything she had to juggle was on her, and she didn't know. So the moment I just approached her, how are you? What are you doing? And she just broke down and started crying. And then she went, oh, this is what is happening. She just discovered she's pregnant again. She has to take care of the home front. She has to manage this new job. And her husband is thinking relocation. And then she said the little baby doesn't even want to allow her leave, want to leave the breast. Yeah. So she said, I felt like a failure of a mother. And I had to tell her, see, the first thing is you have to take care of yourself. If you are not sane, it's difficult for you to give happiness and wholeness to everybody around you. Because as mothers, as women, that's what we want to do. We want to take care of every other person without thinking of ourselves. Yeah. So it's very important that whilst God expects that, this is the role that I expect a woman to perform, it's important we also take care of ourselves. Our mental wellness and well-being is critical for us to be able to do anything for another person.
Thank you. Mental well-being, support system, very important. Look, a lot of this debate about women being a superwoman started maybe in the 60s with the women's liberation movement and blah, blah, and women being able to vote, drive, and do all these things. And then it's now firmly in the place of the career. Career is now sort of at the center of focus. You must be all you can be. And usually that all you can be is in the place of career, whether it's business or as an employee or whatever, or a blogger, whatever you do. My question is, why is that the focus? There seems to be such a heavy emphasis on going out there and achieving. I mean, every magazine you open now, there's a woman, on the front page. In the organization where I work, there's and many organizations actually, there's a rush to appoint women to the board, appoint women to management, and all these types of things. So women are being pushed out. Where is the balance? And should there be a balance? Because it takes a lot to be a career. I was speaking to a woman, a lady in my office the other day, and she was saying, you know what? I spend most of my time in the office. So if I've given 80% of my time, or a woman has given 80% of her time to the office, where's the time for the other things? And where do you find that balance? In fact, I saw something online where some American women said, okay, listen now, pause, full stop. We don't want to be career women. This is the direction that you people are pushing us. We're not interested. We want to be housewives. People should stop harassing us. Some of us actually want to stay at home, and some people are like that. So where's the balance with this pushing every woman to go out there, and is there a balance? Can we strike a balance?
Yes, Pastor Kola, I think there's a misfit, especially amongst Christians. When God made Adam, he made Adam first, and then Eve came to be a helpmate. We are to help. Honestly, we are to help. Whether you want to do your business or you want to have a career, you are not supposed to wear a man's hat and be the breadwinner. So for us women that are here, stop indulging your husband and saying that because I'm bringing all the money. So we don't want to become executive in an oil company because we are making so much money, and then we take the position of our husbands. We are supposed to be helping. There must be a balance in the house. When you give 80% to your executive role, the 20% left is not enough to go around husband, children, family, and all. It's not enough. It's not enough. And then there's going to be a problem in future. Then you now have problems with the children. You are not there to parent them properly because all your skills and effort is back at the oil and gas company, okay, or your business that you're trying to build. That is the imbalance. So we must try to have a balance and ask God, God, what exactly do you have for me to do in my life? And find peace doing that. Don't want to be MD of your company because you just want to prove a point. Is that God's will for you? It's God's will for you to raise an army for his kingdom. We need to find out like you said, what is the purpose of a woman? You ask God, when you get married, okay, I'm married to this guy now, he's been the man of my dream. What am I supposed to do here? You know, as his wife, as a mother to the children, let's find purpose. And when we find purpose, there's peace.
Thank you. Heavy words for thinking. Clap now. You don't like that one.
It's too deep.
It's too deep. But it's such an important point because marriages are broken up because of this thing. The woman wants to be a career woman. The man wants to be a career man. So both of you, 80% time outside. The remaining time. But what do we say to our women, young women, yet to be mothers, young mothers, aspiring? What do they do with their desire to excel? How do they, express themselves? There were women in my class in university who came out with a first class. What's she going to do with her first class? But has society set women up for failure? Go and get your first class, go and be a top engineer. But don't forget you still have to look after your husband and look after your children and look after the home. And so what was the advice? And remember, we are Christians. What does God want us to? How do we advise what are you going to tell your daughters? You're already sending them to university in England, in South Africa, in America. You are telling them, get first class, get first class, get first class. When they get the first class, then when they come out, they say, where's the man? Just park that first class first. Where's the man? You have brought him. Then you sit her down. This is what men want to. Then the girl is confused. So what should we be telling because our daughters are confused.
I have a 27-year-old in my house right now.
Yes.
Okay, my daughter, she's 27, going 28. She's done the masters.
You even added masters.
Oh, yes. And then suddenly my mother-in-law, she's been harassing her. Where is the guy?
Yes.
Where is the boy?
Yes.
Abi, you're just going to be doing work. We have not seen any boy coming. And then I had to tell grandma that you are waiting on the Lord. That there must be a balance. You yourself must find purpose. Find the purpose. When you find the purpose for which God created you, then when the man comes,
you are ready.
God is preparing the man too. It's not just you alone.
Yes.
There's a preparation going on both ends. So we must advise our girls, even our fathers, when you are raising your son, raise them to find purpose. So that when they find those girls or those our already lovely girls that are waiting on them to be found, then the purpose can come together and be fulfilled.
Sorry, I want to add something to that. Because I agree totally with what you're saying. And I think that period of waiting is also for you to pray for the kind of person that you want. Because what is happening around now with the younger ones is that they just want to get married. Okay, who are you marrying? My daughter is married, and in fact, I knew her husband before they even met. And he was my little fix-it. He would always get things done so when he showed an interest in my daughter, I was like, yes, this is a good, godly man that would actually look after her. But the thing is that she has to also know the kind of person she wants. He has to know the kind of person. During their marriage, what did they do it? Counseling. About 2 couples actually didn't make it to the end of counseling because they had never even discussed about anything. So in that preparation, you have to know you're thinking about, you must know yourself. That thing is, If I ever would get a tattoo, that would be it. Know yourself. Because it's very important to know where you're going to go. Otherwise, there'll be a discord, and that's a recipe for disaster. I feel that as a career person, I've been working non-stop since I left school. My first few businesses failed because I had to focus on the children, and I didn't have enough knowledge. But now that I'm settled and I'm doing okay in my business, but I feel that also I've worked like a man, or I've lived like a man, and I've lived like a woman, and we are women. Of course, this is what we are supposed to be. When you live like a man, you are not fulfilling your purpose, and there is a dissatisfaction in you. So work towards what God has made you to be, and do it to your best. But like what you were saying is that not everybody wants to be a career person. Yes. But if that's what you want to, and you're deprived of that, you will end up being bitter. So it's important to know what's important to you.
Can I also add
yes.
something?
And add in your answer, if your daughter or a young woman came to you and said, you see this career thing, I'm actually not interested, would you push her and say, no, that's old school? What would you say? She says, I want to build a family, look after my children, support my husband, build a good home, and then I'm fulfilled.
Yes. When a lady comes, I mean, I've had that, because I coach as well. And so when you're coaching, you also want to listen to what is not being said. And you also want to question, deeper, just to understand where that response is coming from. And so if I met a lady like that, the first thing I would ask is, why? Because it's in your why that your answers are. It's in your why. And it's not just one why. There are several levels of why to really get to the bottom. And why am I doing that? It's because it's a process of self-discovery, which is very important, which leads to you actually finding your purpose. So if you haven't even discovered who you are, then there's no way that you would be able to even begin to understand what am I in this world for, what's my purpose. So if a lady says, I want to just be a wife and have kids, why do you want to do that? That's the question. You're not condemning, because that's the wrong thing to do. But you also want her to question, because most times people don't really question themselves. Right, yes. And so that's what you want to do. But let me just add something. I think that it's wonderful that women are being given the opportunity in organizations to reach the pinnacle, right? Yes, and if there's any woman who wants to do so, please, the world is your oyster. You should strive for that. And you should strive for it knowing that you can do it. However, do not lose your femininity. Because a lot of times when we get up there, because it's just a lot of men, and, like for me, when I'm in my meetings, sometimes I realize, look, Ivy, you're the only lady here, or it's just two ladies, and everyone else is guy. It's a man, right? I wouldn't lose my femininity because I'm trying to rise up, on the ladder, I would still hold on to that femininity, in my decision making, in my leadership, in everything, because there's a difference that women bring. There's this flavor that we bring to that level. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So please don't lose your femininity, no matter what.
Please don't lose your femininity, please, please. I know that time is up, but this is the last point, and I'd like to hear from everyone. You don't live in a vacuum as a mother. You're a mother because you have a husband. You had a father. You have brothers. You have colleagues and bosses to the office. What is your advice to men? How do men help us? No, not us. Help you. Transgender is on the way. How do we as men, whether as a father, how do I help my daughter to be the best she can be? How, as a husband, how do I help my wife be the best she can be with all these balancing acts that we're talking about? As a brother, I have two sisters. How do I help them be the best that they can be. And my mom is still alive as well. How do I help? We quarreled this morning, by the way. That's another story. How do I help my mother? So how do we as men, what's your advice to men? Because you can't do this without men. If you try, then we'll be doing marriage counseling, divorce. If something happened, the other one didn't happen.
Okay, so for me, to husbands, I would say allow your wives to be wives.
Rachel, please, are you people taking notes? Men.
Please
Please
allow
take notes.
your wives to be wives. They are to support, right? Nobody supports someone who is not carrying anything.
Exactly.
So you need to understand that their role is to support while you're carrying.
They should say it again. Nobody can help somebody that is not carrying anything. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So the role of the woman is to, carry something. Then also, in places of work, men should understand that, like you said, the femininity of a woman shouldn't be taken away from her because she's striving to be at the top. Because for a lot of companies now, at the board, there needs to be, because of gender equality,
Sure.
there needs to be some, a number of women on the board and all of that. But at the end of the day, they are trying to, merge the ladies with the men. They expect your opinion to be like the men and all of that. So they should allow the women to be women because that's the only time they can be at their best.
Thank you. So please, men, bosses, allow your women to be women. If she wants to go home at 4 because she has a child who she needs to, let her go. The men, let them do extra work. Let him be there. Let him just be walking.
By the way, sir, sorry. I was
Yes.
pregnant, at some point in my
Yes.
career, and my boss, he has a couch in his office. Before then, I had worked for a number of years, and by the time I was pregnant, at times I would be tired, and he would tell me, "You are looking tired. Go and sleep on my couch when you are done." And it doesn't mean that when you're done, you won't come back to do the report. You come back to do the report.
But
then it
rested.
gives exactly your rest. So it gives that, allowance for you to be a woman and then come back to your work.
Wonderful boss. Yeah, but not all of us have couches in our office. So I don't know what you want us to do now. Sister Ivy.
Okay, so I'll start by saying that I'm blessed with a father who, from when I was a little girl, right, did not think that there was any barrier or any bias towards girls. I mean, as simple as come out and learn to wash a car, come out and learn to drive, come out and learn to change a tire. He wanted me to understand that as a woman, right, there's no limitations, you can do anything. And so that means that he didn't have a biased mindset. So for me, I would say, for all guys, and men, fathers, husbands, brothers, and, go back and think, do a reflection and ask yourself, what do I really think of a woman, right? Because that's what informs how you would treat them. There's a saying that says, change your thinking, change your life. It doesn't necessarily mean just only change your life, change everything around you, the life of others, with how you think. So if we can break that generation thinking of women, right, in the men, and even in the women too, because some of us have been through that societal generation thinking, then I believe that, that's the beginning of change, in how women are being treated by the men in their lives. Yes.
Thank you. So men, stop looking at your women with a traditional mindset.
Okay. Yes. The same thing like what God said to the men. Husbands, love your wife. Today, I just want to admonish all our men in here today. What we want from you is love. You don't need to understand us. Seriously. You don't need to understand whether we're in a bad mood.
That one we have given up.
No, yes. We might be having a bad hair day. We might be having a bad, business turnaround at work, whatever it is. God did not say, husband, understand your wife. God said, husband, love
your wife.
Love, just love us. You'll be good. If you love us, you will enjoy us the most.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love. So please stop trying to understand your wife. When she comes, she's crying. As you want to hug her, she say, "Oga, what's your issue?" Just love her.
Yes. Thank you very much. So for fathers, please build up your daughters and build up your sons. My father always told me what I will give you is the best education I can, the rest is up to you. So I was never held back. And I knew I was responsible for my own happiness and my own life. So build your kids up. For the husbands, the same thing. As Auntie Shadi has said, honestly, love your wives. I'm telling you, a woman that is loyal to you, she's like a tiger. She will fight for you through thick and thin. She will stay with you, whether it's good or bad, but she must receive that love. That word cherish is so important. If you cherish a woman, telling you, it's like a force of, even Goliath cannot come, right?
Cherish.
And then for your children, for me, the most important thing for all women, please, you're not going to be there forever, right? So you need to build up children that can stand when you're not there. In fact, when you're there, when you're not there. Sometimes I deliberately step back. Many times I step back because when you do everything for them, you cheat them of a chance to grow themselves. So even little things like now, my sons have to pay for one of our house helps kids' school fees. How they do it is their business. But they do it, and that's their responsibility. Hallelujah. So things like that, you have to grow them, and you'll have a better Nigeria.
Amen. Thank you. Please, a round of applause. All men standing for our 4 beautiful panelists and all the mothers in the house. Thank you so much for being wonderful, beautiful mothers, daughters, sisters, aunties, grandmothers, wives, friends, pillars in the church. We appreciate you. We thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please keep clapping, please. Keep clapping. Thank you.